Leveling up. Extreme business growth through raising your game. When what was once extraordinary becomes ordinary, you know you've leveled up.
The world has changed substantially over the past 12 months. Business and how we do business, that has changed. Also, where we're at mentally, our mindset, our attitudes, our perspectives, that's changed a lot as well. We're all contending with a lot right now in the world of business and life. And therefore, so has the lives of our customers and prospects changed greatly as well. And therefore, it's absolutely imperative that you are talking to where your customers are today, as opposed to maybe talking to them in the way that you used to do previously, which is obviously where they were. Welcome to the Leveling Up Podcast with me, George Swift. The Leveling Up Podcast is here to give you the personal development, the entrepreneurial development, and the business growth that you, the ambitious business owner, desires. I'm here to give you the motivation, the inspiration, but above all else, to challenge your aspirations to take you and your business to the next level. Don't forget, subscribe and never miss an episode. Back at the beginning of autumn last year, I read an article that was suggesting that we'd seen 5 years worth of change to business, to society, to culture in the previous 6 months. Therefore, it's not surprising that many business owners are scratching their head, wondering why what they were doing isn't necessarily working right now. Across the whole of our success groups, we've been pushing the re-engineering of businesses. Not necessarily pivoting your business, not necessarily doing anything different. In fact, I've been saying all the way along, you want to keep your core offering, your product, your services. You want to maintain as much as possible of what you were doing because that was working. But you do need to re-engineer in intelligent ways to meet the market and to operate in the world as it is restricted right now. But it's no wonder that so many business owners are sitting there, wondering why what they were doing isn't working now. Their marketing, their messaging, their communications. And in this episode, I want to focus in on your communication with your prospects, your communication with your potential clients. If we try and talk to our client base in the same ways that we were talking to them back at the beginning of 2020 and maybe even throughout the whole of 2019, then of course, it's not surprising that we're missing the mark. Across the whole of our company, Bigger, Brighter, Bolder, and all of our success groups, we've actually gone through a major rebrand to address the disconnect between the way we were talking to our customers, the way we were communicating with our potential members, and actually where our members or our prospects were mentally, emotionally. And the truth of the matter is, we've all gone through a lot. There's a lot of trauma out there in our personal lives and, of course, through business. Many business owners have really had a challenge over the last 12 months just to stay in the game, stay afloat. Many business owners, they weren't able to keep their businesses running in the way that they had been previously, mine included. For some businesses, of course, they were forced shut and have been forced to stay shut by the government. So, of course, it's not surprising that the business community, as well as society as a whole, is a little bit shell-shocked, a little bit traumatized, and maybe they've readdressed their values, they've readdressed their priorities. Maybe they're in fear, maybe they're in doubt, maybe their desires have changed from what their desires were just over a year ago. Just over a year ago, freedom was taken for granted. Now it's something we're waiting to be spoon-fed by our governments. There's a huge change in our perspective, and therefore there's going to be a huge change potentially in how we think about what we're doing, how we think about our own lives, how we think about our own ambitions, our goals, our dreams. For many people, if they're finding financially they're having to cut back or they feel like they need to cut back because their own revenues have dropped, their buying impulses are going to be different to what their buying impulses were 12, 18 months ago, 24 months ago, when maybe their businesses were booming. So it's important that you are aware of where your prospects are right now. Not just literally, physically, but where they are emotionally, where they are mentally. How are they seeing themselves? How are they seeing their future? What are their priorities and how have they changed? Because if we continually keep talking to our client base where they were, then we're going to absolutely miss the mark by a country mile because they've moved on. And if you were still trying to communicate to your audience in the way that you were 5 years ago, and you came to me saying, George, I don't understand, this is what's always worked. And, for 5 years we've been doing this. You'd say, well, you know what? Times change. Times change. People evolve. Cultures change. Drivers change. Motivations might change. And what was working 5 years ago clearly might not be working 5 years later. But because it happened so fast, because it happened over 6 months, and it's continued to happen over the last 6 months as well, of course, we're shooting an arrow where the target was, and the target's moved the equivalent of 5 years plus into the future. It's miles away from where we were shooting. So when was the last time you looked at your messaging? When was the last time you looked at your communication? When was the last time that you reviewed where your prospects were emotionally, mentally, psychologically? Have you reevaluated recently where your clients' needs are, their desires are, the pressures, the struggles, the pain that they're facing in their life? Have you reevaluated what they want out of life, what their desires are, their ambitions? Have you reevaluated where their industries are and their market is? Because if we don't understand where our clients are, if we don't understand emotionally, mentally, psychologically where they are, then it's like we're speaking French and they're speaking English. We're going to miss the mark. We're not communicating. A coach that 12 months ago, 18 months ago would have turned around and said, right, come with me, increase your revenues, boost this, get that, big, 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 go big. That message may well have hit the mark 18 months ago, 2 years ago, even up to 12 months ago. However, if that coach's client base is now struggling financially, their ambition now is not to grow and not to have this incredible success, but actually they're in a place where they just want to get by. They just want to survive. They're fighting for their life. So they may well be in the market for a coach, but they're not going to seek that coach out, and they're not going to be turned on to that coach because they're speaking very different languages. Now, this isn't to say that if you are a business coach, you should be targeting businesses saying, are you struggling? Are you in pain? Are you running out of money? It's still about retaining your own integrity. And if that coach stood for growing businesses, opportunity, possibility, then I wouldn't expect them to completely regress and change their whole business model or strategy, or to violate their own values about what it is they want to do for their clients. But they definitely want to make sure that they're communicating what it is they do in a way where their client base will hear what they do and its relevance to who they are and what they're doing and what their goals are. Context is king when it comes to marketing, communication, and messaging. I get it. You're a coach. You help businesses grow. So does every other business coach. The context is I help my avatar, I help my niche overcome this specific problem so they can have this specific outcome. Now it's contextualized to me as a business owner. Yes, of course, if you start to niche like that, you will potentially switch off other buyers. But what you'll do is you'll switch on the buyers that you want. But if you're communicating where the industry was 6 months ago or 12 months ago, which is equivalent of where it was 5 years before that, then of course you're just miscommunicating. As all businesses understand, as you go through the evolutions of your business and as you evolve your client base and as your client base evolves itself, you need to make sure that you're continually keeping up to date with the messaging, the branding, the communications that you put out to your audience, to your market. The difference is, in this case, we've all been caught napping because we've seen such dramatic changes to society, to culture, to our clients, to our businesses, to our own lives, that actually we're kind of scrambling around thinking, right, what's going to work now? What's changed? How do we communicate what it is we actually do in a way that our current client base understands and how it's contextualized and relevant to where they're at right now? So the business coach can still grow businesses. They can still target businesses that want to tap into possibility and opportunity. However, maybe the rah-rah that they were screaming and shouting 2 years ago is going to massively miss the mark. A client or a business might be thinking, I just need to stay alive. One day, if I get myself back on top, then maybe that's the business coach that I need. But right now, I need to stay alive. And it's really likely that business coach could have helped them. It's really likely that that person, that business could definitely be in the market for a business coach. It's just their mission critical project is no longer how do I create exponential growth in my business? How do I build my business empire? It's now become, how do I stay alive? How do I keep my staff employed? How do I keep the lights on? So ask yourself, are you speaking the language that your market, that your audience is currently speaking? Or are you speaking some old dialect from way back yonder in the distant past of early 2020? Are you cued in, switched on to your current clients or your prospects? Are you aware of what they're going through? Are you aware of how they see the world, how they see themselves in the world? Are you aware of what their current priorities are, what their struggles are, what their pain points are, what their dreams, ambitions, their goals? Are you aware of who they are in this world that we've inhabited? Are you aware of their own journey, their own path that they've taken over the past 12 months to where they are now? Because if you're not, then it's not surprising that you might be out of touch with your audience. And I get it, it's miserable. I get it. You work so hard to get things working. You get an advertising campaign together. It can take ages to get an advertising campaign to actually work. And then it works. And then something happens like we had last year and suddenly it doesn't work. You might have a keynote speech that you do and that isn't working anymore. A conversion path that you used to have, that isn't working. Maybe you used to have a really well thought through sales funnel and that isn't working the way it was working. Maybe your prospects just a year ago or so were prepared to make a decision there and then on the spot, but now they seem to want to take a lot longer over it. They're thinking about it a lot more. Maybe you were able to just pick up the phone, speak to someone, arrange a meeting, and at that meeting, do a sale, do a deal right then. But now maybe just getting them on the phone isn't as easy as it was. Or maybe getting them on the phone is easier because they're all at home on their mobiles, but maybe getting that appointment is harder. Or maybe you're getting those one-to-one meetings, but instead of being face-to-face where you used to shine and used to excel, maybe now you're doing it through Zoom or you're doing it through FaceTime and it's just not hitting the mark. You're just finding it harder to connect with your audience. Maybe just finding it harder to tune into what it is they really want. Maybe your client or your prospect is excited about what you do, but you're just getting a lot more fallout from your sales. You think you've got the sale, but it's not going through the last minute. There's hesitancy there, doubts there, fears there. And maybe what was working before just isn't working now, or maybe it's just not working as well now. And even if it's working now, this is a great exercise, by the way. You should always be reviewing what it is you're doing. Now, I don't advise tinkering or meddling with things that are working. I do believe in the old adage that if it's not broken, don't fix it. But equally, we do want to evolve and we do want to improve and we do want to innovate. And we have to find that balance, between tinkering and meddling and unsettling our audience and our client base and actually improving things for the business and also for them. If what you're doing now clearly isn't working, you've got nothing to lose by going out there and starting to review what it is you're doing. Review how you're doing it. And as the content of this episode is all about, review how you communicate to that audience, whether that's through your social media channels, through your adverts, whether that's through your videos, your podcast, whether that's through your face-to-faces, your networking, wherever you come into contact with your prospect, you might want to review how you're speaking to them, review your pitch, your messaging, review your positioning, your value proposition. And of course, as I said, if what you're doing now clearly isn't working, you've got nothing to lose by starting to review that. If it's working for you, brilliant. But it doesn't hurt to have another review of that from time to time, just to make sure that you're keeping ahead of the game, just to make sure there's no surprises waiting to catch you out. So my message here today is, of course, it's not necessarily hitting the mark the way your messaging was hitting the mark 12 months ago if we went through 5 years worth of change in the first 6 months after lockdown. It's not surprising that we're not necessarily pushing the buttons and tweaking the knobs on our prospects in a way that excites them to work with us or to engage us. Of course, it's likely that the way we were selling, the way we were delivering the product may well not be hitting the mark 100% given the amount of change that prospect has gone through. And therefore, my message today is the same as it was to my group 6 months ago, which is you want to keep the integrity of what you do. You want to keep your product what it was. You want to deliver it as best you can the way you used to. But you might need to re-engineer certain aspects in order to function in the world as it is today and in order to hit the mark with your audience and your customer base where they are at today. It might be a perfect opportunity for you right now to go and do a complete and utter review. Go and do your avatar work. Go and find out who they are, where are they, what are they doing, what are their drivers, what are their motivators, what are they thinking right now, what are they experiencing right now, what pain can you solve and what gain can you give them, what problem do you address, what solutions do you give them. Where are they at in terms of decision making? Are they making decisions fast or are they taking longer over that? Do you need to adjust your processes to accommodate that? Do you need to adjust how you communicate, how you sell, how you close to accommodate that? Not necessarily giving them free will just to sit on your proposal for 6 months, but how do you adapt how you approach that close in a way that takes into account where they're at, where you still get what it is that you want? You want clients, you want to help clients, and the clients out there want to be helped. What might be happening right now is you might be speaking two different languages and therefore you're not finding each other. My aim for all small businesses is that they continue to grow and thrive throughout everything we've gone through and everything that has still yet to pass. My other objective, of course, is that by working with service-based businesses and supporting service-based businesses, that we get to improve the world around us, we get to improve the lives of those people that are around us. Therefore, you owe it to the world, you owe it to your prospects to sell to them. Your prospects need what it is that you're doing. You just need to find a way of communicating where they are right now so that they can see the benefit of what you're offering, relevant and contextualized to where they are at right now. Nice one. Thank you for listening. How are you doing generally? The sun is starting to break here in the UK, starting to warm up a little bit. I can see there's frustration still though. We're starting to get a little bit ground down and worn down. I see a lot of hope, and I really do hope that we do come out of what we're in right now and we do follow this path as slow as it is. And as cautious as it is, I do hope that we find ourselves heading back to the freedom that we once enjoyed. Just as a matter of fact, who would have thought that I'd even be suggesting this, even talking like this just 12 months ago? But we are where we are and we have to operate from that place. If you need a little bit of help, making sure that you're staying motivated, staying in the game, doing the things you need to do, making sure you're keeping up with your sales, making sure you're keeping up with your messaging, your communicating, your marketing, making sure that you're doing the things that are going to give you the results in your business that you want, then don't forget, Bigger, Brighter, Bolder Success Groups is here for you. We have groups of ambitious entrepreneurs just like you who are continually growing their businesses even through these challenging times. We've had businesses grow 5 times their turnovers from where they were pre-lockdown. And these were industries that were wiped out for the first 2 months of lockdowns. They lost all their business, or certainly a huge chunk of their business, in April and May, and they rebuilt their businesses by autumn, and now they're running 5 times what they were pre-lockdown. We've seen business owners be absolutely wiped out completely, re-engineer their businesses, and they've come back and they're stronger again than they were pre-lockdown. We've also had businesses that haven't been that badly hit throughout lockdown, and they've continued to steadily grow their businesses. One guy has grown his business from 50 grand to 500,000 in the past 2 years. I'm not going to promise you're going to get exactly the same result as that, but I want to share it with you because it is absolutely possible in the world right now. There is a ton of opportunity out there for small, ambitious business owners. It's just not necessarily there in the same way that it was 12 months ago. If you need some help, some support, if you need a little bit of encouragement, some advice, some skills, some abilities that maybe aren't present in your business right now, then please do go and check us out, biggerbrighterbolder.co.uk. If you're launching your business from scratch, we've got groups of people doing exactly that. If you're taking your business from 20, 30, 40, maybe 50, 60,000 pound in revenue and you want to break 100 grand, then we've got groups of ambitious business owners doing exactly that right now that are ready, willing and wanting for you to join them on their journey. If you've already broken over 100K and you want to take your business to the next level and scale your business, then again, we've got groups of ambitious business owners doing exactly that. We've seen business owners go from 50 to over 120K in less than 12 months. We have business owners who have doubled their turnovers from 150 to 350 in a single year. The same businesses have gone from 350 to 750, from 750 to 1.5 million and onwards to multiple million turnovers. We've got business owners that had a hobby business on the side, doing a mere 10 grand, that are now doing best part of 100,000 in turnover. If you want to join them, then reach out, talk to us. We'd love to hear from you. You can also email my partner in life and in business, Tracy Miller, and you can speak to her, tracy.miller@biggerbrighterbolder.co.uk. I'll drop those links in the descriptions of this episode, as well as some links to some other resources to help you on your ongoing entrepreneurial journey. It's tough out there. There's barriers, there's blocks out there, but it doesn't have to be as hard as many of us are making it. Let us help you clear the path as best we can to help steer you and navigate you to continually to grow your business and to give yourself the life that you want and to create the future that you deserve. I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, as always, be successful.
Leveling up. Extreme business growth through raising your game. When what was once extraordinary becomes ordinary, you know you've leveled up.